young man, when you're short on your dough, you can stay there. And I'm sure you will find many ways to have a good time.
Greatest Media, thanks so much for joining me. I had to play that clip up front. That is obviously AI, but let's be honest. That's what we'd all like to see happen, given the bombshell data, the bombshell evidence, the bombshell documents that Tulsi Gabbard released over the weekend. This is not illusion. This is not alleged. This is now actual in writing, smoking gun type material. Tulsi Gabbard does not play, and she has turned out to be probably one of the top 5 Trump appointees. Absolutely amazing. But welcome into Greatest Media. Thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate everybody being here. Please let us know you're here in the comments. Like and subscribe. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. We are going to dive into this massive, massive scandal that has now been, everybody suspected it, I think, on our side. Obviously, the media and everybody else poo-pooed this as conspiracy theory and nonsense, but it is no longer that. Tulsi Gabbard has blown the lid off this. This is absolutely amazing. Let's dive right in. We're going to catch a couple clips from Fox, catch a clip from Fox first, and then we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. But again, please like, comment, and subscribe as we dive right in. Here we go.
Dropped a bombshell over the weekend in the form of 100 documents. She says that massive Russia hoax was essentially directed by former President Barack Obama. Now she's sending everything she has found to the U.S. Justice Department and is asking the department to prosecute. House Oversight Committee members are calling for accountability.
There needs to be criminal prosecution and arrest. You know, lying under oath, putting out a false intelligence report, that's a violation of 18 U.S. Code. If we don't stop this, if we don't actually say this will not be tolerated, this is not a Democrat or Republican thing. This is about the health and the sanctity of a constitutional republic, and so there needs to be arrests. This is not partisan. This is simply illegal what they did, and we're simply upholding the law.
Justice correspondent David Spunt is in Washington. David.
Hey, Harris. Tulsi Gabbard says the Obama team previously found no Russian interference in the 2016 election, and then suddenly, before Donald Trump took office in early 2017, she says the Obama team changed its narrative. Critics say Gabbard is conflating two different things. Fox News Digital obtained a declassified copy of the presidential daily brief for then-President Obama dated December 8, 2016. It reads in part, "We assess that Russian and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure." Then she says shortly before Trump took office, the intelligence seemed to change and allegations about Russian interference to help Trump were rampant.
There's no question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published, which contained a manufactured intelligence document. It's worse than even politicization of intelligence. It was manufactured intelligence.
Now, Democrats, Harris, say Obama's team was always concerned about Russia sowing discord online via Facebook and other social media channels to ruin Clinton and help Trump. In 2020, the chairman of the Intel Committee at the time, Marco Rubio, then Florida senator, now Trump's top diplomat, released an exhaustive report. He said in a statement the committee found absolutely no evidence that then candidate Donald Trump or his campaign colluded with the Russian government to meddle in the 2016 election. What the committee did find, however, is very troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling. Senator Jim Himes is a Democrat from Connecticut on the Intel Committee.
Tulsi Gabbard accusing a former president of treason. Let's see if they bring charges. They won't. They won't, because there's not a
Let's
judge
hope
in
we do, because that's exactly what needs to happen. Now, to break this down, when you look through all the documents, this is essentially the timeline. August and September, all the way up through December, Obama's own intel chiefs, Brennan, Clapper, and others, have told him, it's been in the briefing, it's going into the presidential daily brief in December. But all through that time, the narrative has been the same. The report has been the same. Russia has neither the inclination nor the capability to actually interfere in our elections? Can they post a bunch of bot farms on Facebook and run some ads? Sure, any idiot could do that. But their own intel assessment was Russia has neither the inclination nor the capability to affect our elections. It was over and over and over again. And then in December, after Trump has resoundingly defeated Hillary Clinton, right before the presidential daily brief is set to be given to Obama, which is a published report now. Now it's published. Now it's in the public domain. That says that exact narrative, that Russia has neither the inclination nor the capability. Obama says, no, we're not publishing that. Take that, get rid of that. We're going to publish something different. And that presidential daily brief gets circular filed. It gets shit canned. And he orders his intel chiefs to come up with a different narrative. What? Essentially manufacture intel that says Russia interfered in the election and that Trump is now illegitimate. This was all to protect. Initially, the initial deal was twofold: to protect Hillary Clinton and her unsecured email server scandal, where her unsecured email server got hacked and thousands of classified emails were in the wind for our enemies to see. She was looking, if Donald Trump was not completely waylaid by this nonsense, she was looking at prison time. So it was to protect her, and it was also to subvert the will of the American people and their choice in Donald Trump, and to destroy his presidency, in effect, creating a coup. Now, let's take a little trip down memory lane before we dive into the rest of the story, because I think you'll remember a lot of this. It wasn't just Obama. There were lots of people that were involved in this little scandal.
Actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put in office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
I have an objection.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina. I object because people are horrified.
He's an illegitimate president.
Do you believe Trump is a legitimate president?
What I believe is that there's no question that the outcome of this election was affected by the Russian interference.
There absolutely is a cloud of illegitimacy.
So that legitimacy is in question, yes.
So that was a very tainted election. And in that sense, it's illegitimate.
They effectuated a coup. They effectuated a coup using their deep state assets and then peddling this to the media, which gladly lapped it up and parroted it and trumpeted it. The media is 100% complicit in this. All of the Democrats you saw in this video are complicit. But the meeting that took place where Obama literally said manufacture intelligence, the number one players were clearly Obama, Biden, Clapper, Brennan, McCabe, Susan Rice. And probably, I don't know, reports are, I don't know if Clinton was there, but she was obviously knee deep in it because she's the one that produced, her campaign is the one that produced the Fusion GPS report, which they used along with the manufactured intel assessment to say that Trump was a Russian agent, that Trump was colluding with Russia, all of this nonsense. Now let's dive in with Tulsi Gabbard herself as she lets the cat out of the bag over the weekend. This is absolutely amazing stuff. You've got literal highest ranking U.S. officials involved in treasonous conspiracy and a coup against the American people. Wow, here we go.
Saying that this is an issue that is important to every single one of us as Americans. This is not a partisan issue. It has to do with the integrity and the strength of our democratic republic. And it lays out this over 100 documents that you're referencing that I released, declassified and released, spells out in great detail exactly what happens when you have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm, President Obama and his senior-most national security cabinet, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, and Susan Rice and others, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence with the objective of subverting the will of the American people who in November of 2016 delivered a historic victory to President Trump, defeating Hillary Clinton. And President Obama and his team, their goal was to essentially not accept the decision of the American people and to use this manufactured, politicized intelligence as a means to enact what would become essentially a years-long coup against President Trump. Saying that
now, I want to dive in. This is absolutely true. It is a year now. It's been more than a year. The reason now that we can talk about treasonous conspiracy is because this has gone on far longer than that. This has now bled. It went from a tainted election and Trump colluded with Russia. It went from that to the spying on his campaign and his presidency, to the arrests of people like General Flynn. It then rolls into the entire Hunter Biden laptop scandal and the 2 Ukraine impeachment scandals, which were all intel deep state manufactured. And then it rolls from there into the raid on Mar-a-Lago and all of the lawfare against Trump. And so we've got this ongoing treasonous conspiracy for the last 9 years. And so the beautiful part about what Tulsi has laid out and how she's laid it out and how she's referred this criminally to the DOJ is this is a conspiracy to commit treason, a conspiracy to commit a coup, a conspiracy against rights, which is a federal statute, but it's conspiracy, which means it's ongoing, which means there is no statute of limitations. Now, I want you to hear from Mark Davis. He appeared on the Benny Show, and he lays out a lot of
this is an issue that is important to every single one of us as Americans.
Let me pull that up. And while I do, welcome everybody. Really appreciate everybody rolling up today. We got Kathy Parker in the house, Bob, Diane, Piat, Kirky, Shiny Shinyman's here. Tom Servo, president. Really appreciate it. Antonio, James, thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. You guys are amazing. And Shiny Shinyman, I'm with you. They all have to be convicted. That's the end goal of what we need here. They need to face real accountability. Now check this out from Mark Davis.
Frauds, are they completely and totally effed? Mike Davis, the floor is yours.
Yes. And as we've been saying for 3 years on your show and just about every other of the more than 4,500 media hits I've done over the last 3 years supporting, defending President Trump, this is a criminal conspiracy against rights under 18 USC Section 241. When you politicize and weaponize intel agencies and law enforcement to go after your political enemies for non-crimes, that is textbook conspiracy against rights under 18 USC Section 241. So I would say to these Obama and Biden Democrats, including President Obama himself, President Biden himself, and all these other people who participated and helped cover up this ongoing criminal conspiracy against rights, I would say to them, lawyer up, because justice is definitely coming, as I've promised, and I'm going to make damn sure happens.
Can you explain what the statute of limitations is here, Mike? Is there any worming, snake slithering wiggle room here? Are there any technicalities that they're going to be able to hide under a rock? Over.
Yeah, remember this back in 2016, you had President Obama and then Vice President Joe Biden and Clapper and Comey and Brennan and so many other goons make up the Russian collusion hoax. They worked with the Hillary's campaign, the DNC, the Steele dossier. You had Perkins Coie law firm. You made up the Steele dossier. You made up the Russian collusion hoax. You said you were lying. You said that the Trump and his campaign were colluding with the Russians to steal the 2016 election. You fed this to the FISA court as bogus evidence. So you lied to the FISA court. You got an illegal spy warrant from this federal courts. You spied on then presidential candidate Donald Trump. You continued to spy on Donald Trump when he was the president of the United States. You used his own FBI and his own CIA and other intel agencies to hobble his presidency. I remember when I was at the Senate Judiciary Committee at the beginning of his administration in 2017, and everyone was running around, including Senate Republicans, saying that Trump is a Russian asset because of this Russian collusion hoax. They destroyed his many parts of his first term. Now, it was still wildly successful because Trump is such a strong leader, but look what we're seeing now compared to his first term, and look at how much he's accomplishing now compared to his first term. That's what they were trying to prevent in his first term, his monumental accomplishments over the last 6 months. They tried to hobble the first time.
And they actually did a very good job of hobbling it, unfortunately. But realize he's talking about criminal conspiracy. Now, I want to lay something out for you, and Glenn Beck did a great job of this. You've got Brennan, Clapper, Comey, McCabe, Susan Rice. Those are the primary players, and Biden in Obama's little conspiracy here. That starts with Russia collusion. That starts with Russian interference in the election. It goes from there to the Ukraine impeachment hoax, in which you've got them basically saying that Russia colluded with the election, and then moving on to the same players are the ones who concocted, along with their agent Vindman, this entire Ukraine impeachment nonsense, quid pro quo. It was the same players that that produced that nonsense, when it was really because what had happened was you had Hunter Biden serving on as a corrupt agent, serving on a corrupt board of a corrupt company in a corrupt country, pay for play for his father at the time, Joe Biden, who bragged about getting the guy fired. So they had to cover that up. Then this rolls into the Hunter Biden laptop. The Hunter Biden laptop comes out. There's no way in heck that Joe Biden is going to get elected with the Hunter Biden laptop out there showing all of his sexual shenanigans, showing all of the payments back to the big guy and to the Biden family. So the exact same players, Brennan, Clapper, Comey, McCabe, Susan Rice, pull together the 51 intel agents and say, oh, no, this is Russian collusion. This is Russian disinformation. From there, after Biden is elected, then they need to try to get the Crossfire Hurricane and all of the Russia collusion spying documents back. They think that Trump has them at Mar-a-Lago. So they stage the Mar-a-Lago raid. It's the same players: McCabe, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Susan Rice, that staged with Biden now the Mar-a-Lago raid and all. And when that doesn't produce the documents because they weren't there, then they panic again. And now all of the lawfare against Trump to make sure that he cannot get elected, to try to put him in prison where they can successfully end his life. When that doesn't work, and he's now on the campaign trail, vindicated, what do? They tried twice to end of life President Trump. This is an ongoing criminal conspiracy to commit treason, a conspiracy against rights, and even, I dare say, when they start to get into this, you could say a conspiracy to commit murder. Now, that's where this is going. Just to show you that this is not alleged. This is not Tulsi Gabbard talking about, I heard this, or, I saw that. No, this is her actually releasing the documents where they talk about that foreign adversaries do not have and probably will not obtain the capability to successfully execute undeterred cyber attacks on election infrastructure. These are the documents that basically say they couldn't happen. And then the meeting where they changed the narrative All of this is documented. Now, I want you to hear from Tulsi Gabbard herself, who talks about two things. This is very important. It talks about, A, that prosecutions need to happen, and that's why she has referred this for criminal prosecution, but that also she's now got eyewitness whistleblowers willing to come forward. This story gets deeper and deeper. Check this out.
Do you believe that we will see prosecutions? I mean, our audience wants to know where this story goes from here. Will we ever see anyone held accountable for this incredible lie on the American people?
I will do all that I can, and we have whistleblowers, actually, Maria, coming forward now after we release these documents, because there are people who were around, who were working within the intelligence community at this time, who were so disgusted by what happened. We're starting to see some of them come out of the woodwork here, because they too, like you and I and the American people, want to see justice delivered. So we're going to provide everything that we have, everything that we will continue to gather to the Department of Justice for that direct intent and that direct purpose. There must be indictments, those responsible, no matter how powerful they are and were at that time, no matter who was involved in creating this treasonous conspiracy against the American people. They all must be held accountable.
So
absolutely, they must be held accountable. And realize this treasonous conspiracy continued right up through this summer, not just with the attempted assassinations of President Trump, but realize who were the players behind the Biden auto pen scandal and the sudden exit of Biden, not from the presidency, but from the candidacy. The fact that the Democrat Party pulled a coup on the American people by selecting Kamala Harris and not even allowing a primary or an open convention to happen falls on who? Who were the players behind it? Obama, Brennan, Clapper, Susan Rice. All of the same players were involved in another coup conspiracy even as late as last summer. So there has to be indictments. These people need to be perp walked out of their house with a SWAT team FBI, just like they did the J6 people. And it needs to be even worse. That's what we need to see. Call your congressmen, call your senators. We need to put pressure on the American government that there has to be accountability. But man, this is the biggest scandal ever, I believe, in American political history. This is amazing. Now, while all this is going on, we've got another story that I want to touch briefly on, and that's Hunter Biden basically crashing out in what can only be described as a drug-addled rage attack in an interview that he did with a reporter. This is just absolutely amazing. You've got to check this out. This is wild stuff. Here we go, right into Hunter Biden as he basically can't get off the sauce. I don't know. This is wild. Check this out.
For some reason, the intelligentsia of the Democratic Party with 2020
all right.
side believe that Joe Biden should have considered not running again because of their perception that he was too old. And so then the drumbeat began. And the New York Post the New York Times, on a near daily basis, egged on by the Pod Save America saviors of the Democratic Party, with four millionaires that are dining out on their association with Barack Obama from 16 years ago, living in Beverly fucking Hills, telling the rest of the world what black voters in South Carolina really want, or what the women in the waitress living outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin really believes. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I can't believe that we do this over and over again.
Yeah.
Or here, Rahm Emanuel is going to run for president. What a fucking, David Axelrod's going to run his campaign for him. That's like, oh boy, there's the answer. There's the fucking answer. Genius is all. You know, all of the things that they want. You remember this, is that everybody talks about Joe Biden now as if he was somehow the choice of the Democratic Party. Bullshit. We lost Iowa. We lost New Hampshire. We came in second in Nevada. David Plouffe and David Axelrod went on TV. They said that there's no way Joe Biden can get the nomination, not a chance in the world. Mike Bloomberg is going to crush him in California. Elizabeth Warren's going to beat him in Massachusetts. There's going to get wiped out in Texas. He doesn't have the money to run. A lot of rural voters said, fuck you, we love Joe. A lot of urban voters said, fuck you, we love Joe. And they voted for him overwhelmingly. And not only that, everybody said, well, he'll never be able to beat Trump. And they said, he'll never bring us out of COVID. And they said, he'll never be able to pass bipartisan legislation, and he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and he's living in a different generation, and he's living in a past time. And over again, David Axelrod would go on and say.
So little Hunter Biden is basically pissed that Joe Biden got ousted from the candidacy because that essentially ousted him from his cushy little bribe-taking job. Now he's really got to lay off the powder because A, the dude can't sit still. And this profanity-laced nonsense. I mean, is this really how you talk all the time? I mean, imagine what his father is like behind closed doors. Imagine what the meetings asking for money was like from other foreign dignitaries and scumbags and oligarchs. I mean, they were involved in an ongoing criminal enterprise. This is absolutely nuts.
You know, the thing about the president is that he is just a man who time has passed by, and he doesn't understand Congress. We passed bipartisan legislation more than any presidents in Lyndon B. Johnson, and who had a supermajority in both the House and the Senate with Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. And who did that? That didn't happen by magic. That didn't happen in the Obama administration. That happened because Joe Biden got on the phone with Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer and the rest of the party and Republicans in the party, and he passed a fucking bill because Mitch McConnell didn't stand in the way like he did to every other president other than Joe Biden. And he got it done. He did it. Him alone. And then they said, well, look, it's all going to come down to this State of the Union speech. It's going to come down to the State of the Union speech. That was it. And he knocks it out of the park.
And it was that one debate that caused the full backslide.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I know exactly what happened in that debate. He flew around the world, basically, in the mile.
Yeah, right. We're not buying any of that. But then Hunter Biden goes on to say even more ridiculous stuff. Check this out as he absolutely shills for illegal aliens now. The man is a woke nonsense. He's super woke. He's on drugs, super woke.
There's this conflation that people have. I mean, you know, I think they're opening up an investigation to cocaine that was found in a cubby outside the West Wing of the White House.
I think it was Don Jr. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about old White House?
Yeah, when my dad was there.
Oh,
wrong one. Sorry about that. Let's get this one first. This is the one on illegal immigration. Then we'll get into the Hunter Biden cocaine. Here we go.
For someone, am I going to be like all these Democrats say, you have to talk about and realize that people are really upset about illegal immigration. Fuck you. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? How do you think you got food on your fucking table? Who do you think washes your dishes? Who do you think does your fucking garden? Who do you think is here by the fucking sheer fucking just grit and will that they figured out a way to get here because they thought that they could give themselves and their family a better chance. And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the fucking criminals? For someone, am I?
Wow. Okay. So just profanity-laced nonsense. And then he goes into the situation about his the nonsense with the cocaine in the White House. Now, realize that here's the guy who's screaming about, listen to what he said. Who's going to clean your hotel room? These people, remember, this is the same Joe Biden who was all in for Jim Crow, who was all in for segregation, who basically said, I don't want my kids to go to an urban jungle, to a jungle school. This is the same Joe Biden who has denigrated Black people his entire life. And then because he's a Democrat, seems to think he can tell Black people, oh, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black. This is absolute nonsense. This is Hunter Biden. This is the absolute reflection of the father.
Cocaine that was found in a cubby outside the West Wing of the White House.
I think it was Don Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about old White House.
Yeah, when my dad was there.
Oh, so they just got to blame you automatically.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally going to do an FBI, another congressional investigation, because they've convinced themselves that it had to be me, that there was a little tiny. And my point of even bringing it up is that no, I have been clean and sober since.
Well, Hunter Biden is the most likely, but it could have been Joe Biden. It could have been Jill Biden. It could have been any one of their staff members. They're all moral degenerates, every single one of them, because they basically covered up the president's incapability and used the auto pen to run the government themselves. They're all ethical, moral degenerates, every single one of them.
June 2019, and I have not touched a drop of alcohol or a drug, and I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of that.
And why would you bring cocaine to the White House?
Why would I bring cocaine to the White House, stick it into a cubby outside the Situation Room in the West Wing when I wasn't there? Anyway, this must, who the fuck knows?
And politicians, I mean, they do blow, right?
I testified before the House Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means Committee. It was a big family shindig on the Republican side. All of them showed up, from Marjorie Taylor Greene to Lauren Boebert to Matt Gaetz to, they're all sitting there. Now, none of them had the guts, except for a couple at the very end, to ask me any questions. At one point, in the 7 hours that I was being deposed, in which, by the way, I demanded that they do it in public, and they refused. And the reason is because they're fucking morons. Matt Gaetz, of all people, was giving me shit.
The only two morons involved are the interviewer and Hunter Biden. I mean, Hunter Biden is completely and utterly corrupt. Now, this interviewer is a complete clown show. Basically, he's just a Biden sycophant who's, laying up softballs and then just sitting there. He's not an interview. This is more like a podcast. This is more like hey, let's sit down. I'm your bro. Let's have a couple beers. Oh, but wait a minute. You haven't had a drop of alcohol since 2019. Okay. Let's have a Coke. And we can't do that. Let's have a ginger ale. And let's just sit down and shoot the bull. And I'll just sit here and throw kind of lob softball questions. And then you just ramble on. And I won't say anything. I won't ask any follow-up questions because it's not an actual interview. I'm not trying to get to the truth. I just want to let you basically tell your propaganda. This is absolute nonsense. But this is what the Democrats are left with. They are utterly leaderless, utterly rudderless. They have no policy. All they can stand on is, I hate Trump, and maybe we'll skew towards communism like Zoran Mandami and this Omar character in Minneapolis. And you've got Hunter Biden out there going on profanity-laced screeds against the Democrat establishment and against Republicans. But this is what the people are going to see. They're going to start to remember just how bad it was under Biden because of stuff like this. And as the Trump economy gets going, it's going to start rolling. And this entire thing with Obama is going to once again put the spotlight on how they weaponize the government against not only Trump, but against the American people. Hey, thanks everybody for rolling up. Really appreciate everybody. Maury Story, clown addict, exactly. Zach Richardson, that's right. The interviewer's a loser. Thanks everybody for being here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share Courageous Media with everybody that you know. If you really like the channel, would you please consider joining us as a member of Courageous Army? Help us build the channel on YouTube or on Patreon. The link is right there. Just hit join. Thanks everybody for being here. Remember, God is good and He is sovereign.